The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was actually muted there, and I apologize. Listen, I want to segue to my next guest in I would say in an not an unorthodox manner. I just want you to know that my next guest's name is Michael Volin, and he actually, as an American citizen, decided to take it upon himself and expose some truths. And you know what, Susanna, if you don't mind, I need some help here because I did not sync. Unfortunately, if you don't mind, we're going to do a couple things. If we have him connected, that's okay. I'm just experiencing just some slight little technical difficulty. If you could just copy and paste what I need in Skype, that'd be perfect. But let me tell you, we're talking about somebody. His name is Michael Volin. He is just an average American citizen like you and I that said, you know what, there's some things here. There's some anomalies. He did some research, and he put together a website called Where's Obama's Birth Certificate .com. And Susanna, are you there? Susanna, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Actually,
sorry, you caught me off guard.
What's that?
I said, sorry, you caught me off guard.
I know, I'm very sorry. I'm experiencing technical difficulties on my screen here, and I have a couple of first-time callers, and we want to bring Michael on, but unfortunately, I just got all locked up here. But I'm hoping, and I haven't seen it on the screen, is Mr. Volin on the line with us. Mr. Volin, you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Volin, sorry about that. I actually stumbled into it because I had my screen lock up. Very rarely will that happen, but it did. Susanna, if you don't mind, just drop me the update because unfortunately that information wasn't there. But Michael Volin, I've come to know you through your website, where's Obama's birth certificate.com. And you're just, here's how we want to get started, okay? I just played a clip of Greta Van Susteren talking about how our commander-in-chief, the person that is filling that office of commander-in-chief, okay, made a decision to free Bergdahl and did everything he could in his powers, including releasing 5 Taliban terrorists in exchange for that person. He made that decision on his own. And now when questioned about taking that same type of action for a much more respectable member of our armed services, Sergeant Andrew Tamarisi, he's actually a decorated war hero from Afghanistan, that same commander-in-chief and the State Department has basically said, we're doing everything we can. They want to defer to the judicial system, okay, of the country of Mexico. And they're working with the judicial system there. There was no judicial system that was involved with the release of Bergdahl. He traded terrorists. He was released. And the UCMJ has never held this Bergdahl to account to this day. And he's committed crimes against the United States of America. Now, Sergeant Tamarisi is now on day number 198, okay? And this is a man who fills the office of the presidency of the United States. And here's my segue. You ready? That he has an agenda behind the scenes. And I'm going to conspiracy theorize, and I'm going to allow you to factualize. But he has come from a shady background. He's concealed who he is, what he's all about, everything from his college transcripts to his selective service card, to his birth certificate, is a complete and total fraud. And you ready? Here's the words spoken out in front of the White House by Sheriff Richard Mack.
The birth certificate released by Mr. Obama and the White House is a fake, a fraud, and a lie.
Okay, so does it matter that somebody filling that office of the presidency produces a birth certificate that is a fake, a fraud, and a lie, is making decisions for the benefit of the Islamist, the terrorists, the radical Islamists in the Middle East, whereas Sergeant Tamarisi, who fought those Islamist terrorists, is kept incarcerated? Isn't it interesting to you that this supposed qualified individual for the presidency is making these decisions in this way?
It doesn't surprise me because of who he is and why he's there. He's there to destroy the country. It's diversion, Pete, and I want to thank you for having me on the show. It's really a privilege. It's a diversion so we can look the other way while they do their dirty work behind their back. And it makes absolute no sense. One day he wants to look like he's doing it by the Constitution, and then the next day he's going to come out with something stupid and then back to the Constitution. That's just to mix it all together to confuse us. Now, with Sergeant Tamarisi, that doesn't need a judicial system. He made a mistake. I don't know if you've ever come through like a construction zone on a highway where 2 lanes go down to one and they have concrete walls that force you into one lane. Well, what happened was he was going down to the border area and he made a mistake and he entered that narrow portion that leads right to Mexico. And once you enter that concrete wall, there's no turning around back to the United States. He told the authorities that he had weapons, that he just simply wanted to turn around. That's how this all came to be. He just made a wrong turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can I share something with you?
Yes.
California has changed the highway as a direct result of what happened with Sergeant Tamarisi. But that's not what our interview is about. I believe that, of course, that's an admission that things were done wrong. And he remains, Sergeant Tamarisi remains. And this is important for our discussion because he remains incarcerated. This is one of our troops, okay? I say troops, he's a Marine. He's one of our Marines. His commander-in-chief has made a decision to trade terrorists for a known deserter, Bergdahl, in favor of radical Islamists on one hand, a commander-in-chief who takes a look over at Sergeant Andrew Tamarisi and leaves him incarcerated. Now, when we start digging into his background, you formed a website. This isn't about websites. This is more about your active role as somebody that says, you know what, we've got some information here. I need to put this up and share it with as many people as possible. And it was 2008 that you put this up, and you started putting facts up on where's Obama's birth certificate.com. And you're presenting so many facts right now through the, with the help of course, the Sheriff's Cold Case Posse out of Maricopa, that's Sheriff Joe Arpaio's Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. Their investigation has produced indisputable, undeniable evidence that Barack Obama has a shady history and one person who would make a decision to favor radical Islamists versus an honorable Marine. Isn't it true?
Yes, and it all comes together, and there's a master plan behind it. Obama's just a puppet. He's not the one making the decisions. I don't even think he could find out how to put a quarter in the soda machine. It's the people that are pulling his strings. And my whole focus, Pete, has to stay focused on the forged documents, forgery, all the information that we collect on a daily basis in order to prove this. Now, if I may go back in time a little bit, when we first started the site, it was suspicious. It was Barack Obama running for president. Barack who? That's what we said. We didn't know this man. They forced him into Senate for 156, 158 days, pretty close to the number, may not be exact. And then there were questions about his identity because things were circling around that he might have been born in Kenya, even though he has a bio that says he was born in Kenya, his own words. Then they wanted to see some kind of birth certificate, credentials, and they produced one. But not on the Obama campaign website, on a far left-wing website. All of a sudden it popped up. Where did they get that from? We don't know. And then I said to my wife, who's a true patriot, I could not have done this without her help. What happened here? Why is the mainstream ignoring his ties to Bill Ayers, Jeremiah Wright? It all kept coming out. And I said to my wife, there's something wrong here. The mainstream is totally burying this. They should be all over this. So we formed the website, where's Obama's birth certificate.com, and we formed a stamp. We made a stamp that has the website on it. Now, the idea for the stamp was to stamp everything in sight, including currency. We felt by stamping dollar bills, $5 bills, $10 bills, whatever it may be, that travels without any kind of filtration at all. And it worked. It was traveling throughout the country. And I started getting phone calls. People started coming to the site. We struggled for about 2 years until that phony birth certificate came out on the White House website. And then eventually we got connected with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department by stroke of luck. And I got in contact with Mike Zullo, the lead investigator who I've met, I speak to. And he had trouble in Congress. Nobody wanted to hear it. I couldn't believe that. I said, well, let's go out there and see who we could, what bones we could rattle in Congress there, what skeletons we could shake up. And I asked him, how about a sheriff's kit? Let me have a website where everybody can go with a click, download the sheriff's kit, and that's what we did. We formed what's called a sheriff's kit that has every bit of information that you need to know to bring to whoever it is you want to bring to Congress, your attorney, newspapers, TV stations, radio stations. People are bringing them to the local sheriff's office. So that's how we got here today.
Okay, now listen, we're going to go to a break. It's a 2-minute break. You're going to stay with me as long as I need to get some stuff out. I need you to answer to some things, because I'll tell you what, I'm speaking to you. By the way, this is my show, right? So I get to speak out on the Pete Santilli show a little bit more vocally and straightforward. But you and I need to have a discussion for the following reasons. If I go rob a bank and there's evidence of that, and you have me on videotape and I stole money and you caught me, and there's enough to convict, you wouldn't wait till after an election to have me arrested. We'll be right back. Okay, as I said, Mike Volan is the founder of Where's Obama's Birth Certificate.com. He's been fighting this fight since 2008. We've had people, I've met Sheriff Joe personally. I've asked him about the political wranglings that are involved, because I said, hey, why can't we prosecute this thing? He said, there's nobody to prosecute it. So I understand, okay, but let's go back to my scenario, my bank robbing scenario, okay? Say I robbed a bank. There's right now enough evidence on your website right now, and all of our listeners need to go to Where's Obama's Birth Certificate.com and do what I did. I knew of all the evidence, but it's all nice, neatly placed. It is undeniable, indisputable proof that somebody needs to go to jail, okay? Someone needs to go to jail. It's essentially the equivalent of that picture of me robbing a bank. There's videotape, there's fingerprints, there's eyewitnesses, there's all of this stuff just about to shore up having me arrested for robbing a bank. But the police come in, and we'll say Sheriff Joe and Mike Zullo come in and say, yeah, we're investigating this thing. Man, this thing goes deep. There's people that told Pete to do this. There's evidence that they helped drive the car there. There's all this stuff that we're investigating. But we're going to wait, until after the election to prosecute Pete. Is that not obstruction of justice at that point, where police are conspiring to hold back my arrest, knowing full well that I've committed a crime? They have evidence of that, and they're holding it back. Mike Volan, I'm putting you on the spot. I know you're going to do the little diplomatic dance, but I want you to answer my question very directly. What would happen if police...
Diplomatic dance. I'm going to answer it directly, Pete.
Please.
What we're dealing with is a law enforcement investigation. And if you remember...
Okay, so hold on a second. Stop right there, because I'm not going to take any bullshit on this one anymore. And I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to everybody that always says that. I hear Zullo saying, this is an investigation. Well, guess what? Does that mean that as a bank robber, I'm allowed to just run free? Or do you think that they would hold me in its jail cell because there's enough evidence to do so? You see
Part of the problem is the jurisdiction of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department, what they could do in their area. No doubt that this crime is so horrific, the biggest crime in the history of our nation. If you remember, Pete, it's on the universe-shattering video. After the second news conference, when they unfolded all this information, Pete, it should have ran in the media. It should still be running in the media today.
Yes.
They were scheduled to be on Sean Hannity's show that night. Guess what? Sean said, I can't. Along with other media producers and newscasters that said, I'm in fear for my job. I can't get the information out. Now, they are a police department, but it's the job of our media to report exactly what's happening and the truth. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if they were on Sean Hannity that night? This probably would be a different information. So they know that they got beat up. They know that the media didn't carry it. Mike did go to Congress. knock on some doors and say, hey, we got a problem. You guys take care of this. He's illegal. He got nowhere. He got nowhere. He got turned around. I went to Congress. Almost every member of Congress as a kid, including a number of senators. No, they've told me, Pete, they've told me flat out, we know we can't do anything about it.
Oh, my God.
Court order. So they're doing what they need to do. Now, Pete, I'm not saying that this is absolutely true, but there's a reason why they're waiting for after the election. They have a plan. It has to get out to the mainstream. It has to get out to everybody in the country. That's why I got in touch with you, got you on my show.
Right.
That's why I'm here to let the people know that the wool is being pulled over our eyes. That's the answer to the question. They're not hiding anything. It's not a political thing.
Mike.
They're not waiting for a particular person to get elected in office. They're through with the government. I'm through with the government. It doesn't exist anymore. We have a corrupt government.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Mike, now, of course, I'm being pretty firm on the following. And you know what? I like Mike Zullo. I looked Sheriff Joe in the eye. This guy is, he's a very likable guy. But I don't give a crap how much I like them. This is what I do know, that if anybody goes to where'sobama's.birthcertificate.com, they have enough evidence to make a citizen's arrest. Okay? On the evidence that's contained on that website, there is enough evidence right now to make a citizen's arrest of President Barack Obama. Now, we don't need a citizen to do that. You know why? Because we have barriers, not barriers, we have influencers in Congress and in law enforcement that are complicit in covering this up, including the media. Why don't we freaking start arresting those bastards too? Especially the members of Congress. You hand-delivered this stuff, and they're refusing to do anything. They want to wait until the election. Nobody's going to wait for an election to arrest me after I rob a bank. Why does this guy get special treatment?
Intimidation, maybe threats.
Congress
doesn't want to step forward because it is election time. They don't want to lose their seat.
Can you imagine the disgusting state of affairs that we're in? They don't want to lose their seat, that they would lose an election. So basically you're saying, this is what I'm agreeing with you on, that it is the power of the people that's not been applying enough pressure on our congressmen to make it politically correct for them to go against Obama's birth certificate issues.
I think that if we all get together and start forcing their hand, make this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm one person.
Yeah.
I have a following, and I thank all my supporters for backing me up. I went there. I had my laptop open in Congressman's office. I played some of the videos, the key points, the select the service registration form, which none of them were aware of. It was always, the birth certificate, he was born in Hawaii.
Right.
I went there. I showed them. I said, here's contact information. Do you want me to call right now and get Lieutenant Zullo on? I've had Mike Zullo in private conversations on conference calls in the congressman's office and present that told information that was never heard before, that's still not disclosed, and they still don't get it, Pete. But you know what? Maybe if we gang up, maybe if we start flooding, calling, hey, what are you doing about this information? Now, the sheriff kids have taken a different turn. We're telling congressmen, we're going to hold you responsible. You got the information. I'll give you one example.
Mm-hmm.
I'll name names. Congressman Paul Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 3 kids. My followers went there, knocked on his door, gave him a presentation. Do you know what his response was? Response was, I saw a birth certificate on the White House website. That's good enough for me. That's why we're here, because it's going to me.
Yeah. And Mike, you know what? I just want to make it really clear to our listening audience. The reason why I have you on, I absolutely believe in everything that you're doing. I just want to make sure that we remain true to our core. We have the principles. And you know what? We are ultimately, at this point in time, acting as law enforcement officials. I am a supporter of you. I really thank you for your service to our country and piecing this together. Where's Obama's birthcertificate.com? No doubt about it. Indisputable evidence that Barack Obama needs to be behind bars, in jail. And this man, Mike Volin, is with me. They can get that done. All right, sir. You know what I'm going to do? We're not going to do this is the Pete Santilli show, okay? And we're not going to do this in ping pong fashion, okay? I'm not a diplomat, nor will I ever be. I'm a brute force technologist. All right? I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to offer up a solution. Okay? You don't even need to respond to the solution. I'm going to offer this to Mike Zullo. All right? Do you believe, based on the information you have on your website, the investigation that Sheriff Arpaio's cold case posse has investigated, do you believe that right now, if you were to put everything into a basket, okay, or a briefcase, that there is enough information, set aside people willing to or not willing to, set that aside. Is there enough information right now that can get Barack Obama arrested if we apply the law? That he has broken the law and he needs to go behind bars. And of course, in a court of law, all of this evidence needs to be presented. But is there enough evidence to throw him in jail?
Absolutely, beyond any shadow of doubt.
Okay, here's what I want to offer up to you. You ready? And I know you can do this. I could call Mike Zullo and offer this. I'm not going to. Okay? I'm going to put out a challenge to Mike Zullo and Sheriff Arpaio that with the assistance of law enforcement, if they have information right now that shows that Barack Obama has committed fraud and perpetrated fraud upon the American people, tell him that I'll meet him out in front of the White House and I will volunteer, okay, with the assistance of law enforcement and the United States Marine Corps and the Secret Service. I will jump over with the assistance, of course, of law enforcement, lawful and constitutional, of the front fence of the White House and go in there and deliver that information. Of course, they'll probably just let me go. They won't stop me, of course. But if there's enough evidence, okay, that he's broken the law, I would be prepared in order to bring this to the American people. I'll live stream it. If Zullo will meet me out in front of that, and I'm not going to wait for an election. If he wants to meet me, I'll jump on a flight right now, and I will meet him in front of the White House on principle, on law, on constitutionality, and with the help of law enforcement, with the military, with the Secret Service, with the Department of Justice, with all of those people. I volunteer to do that. And if they want to arrest me, I'll bring evidence to court to show that I'm justified in doing so on behalf of the people of the United States of America. Can you get that information to Mike Zullo?
I will convey that information.
Tell him I'll do it. He doesn't even need to do it. He can watch me do it. If he doesn't have the balls to do it and enforce the law as a law enforcement official and he wants to wait for it, I mean, he can do that. I will go over the fence with your kit. How about that?
Pete, I'm going to say something on this show that I don't know has been released before. I went and stood in front of the White House on the fence with a banner with everybody that came and accompanied me. Pete, for your audience, I have confirmation. I know it for a fact that there are 2 sheriff kids inside the White House. We got 2 kids inside the White House. Where they went and who they delivered to, I don't know. Now, let me just back up one step. Pete, if you were the president and you said, hey, Mike, I got to show a birth certificate. Go get my birth certificate. Okay, I made up a birth certificate. Here it is. I put it up on the White House website. The problem is he's such a slippery snake. He's never held accountable for anything. Now, with that said, let's get the forger. Let's arrest him. Let's get him in a room with a bright light. Let's stand over him and let's interrogate him. Let's find out where this thing leads to. That might be the avenue to go. You just can't go to Obama and say, I don't know. I sent my attorney, Judith Pauly, on an overnight flight, and she brought back the birth certificate. I thought it was real. Yeah, right.
You know, he's committed fraud. We can sit here and theorize, and he's slick, right? That's like calling me the bank robber, really slick, with lots of friends, lots of political influencers, and we can't arrest him despite all the evidence that shows, okay, that he's committed a crime. Barack Obama, okay, has perpetrated fraud upon the American people, because I don't care who assisted him in posting that thing. That is him. That's his birth certificate. He knows, based on the evidence that's contained on where'sobama's-birth-certificate.com, laws have been broken, fraud has been perpetrated, and we have somebody in the office of the presidency that is not qualified, has not presented any evidence whatsoever that he's qualified to be the president of the United States. And guess what this guy's doing? This guy is not putting any boots on the ground, okay, to go fight ISIS, of which he's been supporting through the help of John McCain, and that's a separate topic. But he is supporting the advancement of ISIS by not having boots on the ground, okay? He was involved with the cover-up in Benghazi, and people died, okay? This guy is in an office right now where he has no credentials, doesn't even qualify. Does he qualify? Let me ask you this. Does he qualify to get a top secret or the highest level security clearance in the United States government? Does he qualify based on what we know about his lack of documentation, per se, of the background?
No, and I'll tell you why. I want you to go to motor vehicle to get a driver's license tomorrow. I want you to bring your birth certificate on a PDF file, whip out your iPhone, and say, here's my birth certificate. That person will look at you like, what planet are you from? But we're supposed to believe a PDF file, that is true, that's it. You know, Pete, actually the opposite has occurred. He's given us information to follow up on this and prove he's not. If he had never released that birth certificate, we probably would not be speaking today. It would still be a mystery. Hey, Pete, I want to just say one thing real quick. You have Susanna as your aide. I have Mona as my aide. And I want to thank her for getting us together in touch.
It's awesome, and I yes, that's awesome, and I love the pleasantries between all of us. Now let's get right to the task, and I want to make one thing very clear, okay? Because you're basically standing next to somebody that offered to enforce the law, okay? Offered to enforce the law in the following capacity. What I'm calling for is something constitutional and lawful, right? And something that would be applied to anyone else if they were in the same set of circumstances. If, in fact, Mike Zullo has evidence that the law has been broken, okay, and that nobody will do anything, then you know what? Then I guess it's time for an American like me to say I need the help of Mike Zullo to meet me out in front of the White House, okay? If he has that evidence. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, he can meet me out in front of the White House. They can watch me. I will take the sheriff's kit. I will go over the front fence with the approval. I'll get the Commandant of the Marine Corps to escort me in there. I do not mean any harm because I respect that presidency. Okay? I respect that presidency. I do not mean harm to the President of the United States. But Barack Obama needs to be removed from that presidency because he is a harm to the United States of America. When is somebody going to stand up and do what's absolutely right for our country? Mike Volan, do you think it's going to happen before the election?
No. Do you have contacts with the Commandant of the Marine Corps?
Yes, I've contacted the Pentagon. I said, why don't you meet me at the front fence? I want to come in there and go arrest the bastard. I called the Secret Service. I said, why don't you arrest me? Not arrest me. Arrest me. Why don't you join me? Okay, and go in and arrest him. They said, we protect him. You know what? I want to protect the presidency as well. That's why I want him removed. Okay? I'll go over the fence, dude. Tell Zullo if he has the balls, meet me out in front of the White House. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, if you're a law enforcement official, you have a gun and a badge, meet me out in front of the White House. Okay? I ask all of you at the Secret Service, the Marine Corps, everyone at that fence, stand down until we make it a point to have Barack Obama held accountable to the law of the United States of America. Mike, stay right there. We'll conclude right after this. Okay, Michael Volan, here's the deal. And I'm not saying this as a legal disclaimer, okay? And I'm not saying this because I regret anything I said. I knew what I was going to say to you, okay? I knew exactly what I was going to say to you. Sheriff Mack will meet me. I know Sheriff Mack will meet me right there. I'm not going to ask Sheriff Mack to go over the fence. I will go over the fence under his leadership, okay? Not even his command. He doesn't even need to give me the command. Sheriff Mack already knows that birth certificate is a fake, a fraud, and a lie, okay? And that man who's in the office of the presidency needs to be arrested Not just for the fraud, the birth certificate fraud, other crimes as well. That's to be determined later. We have enough right now for me to do this. I'm offering myself up. You can tell Mike Zullo that he could think that I'm crazy for doing it. I'm willing, okay? I don't go by elections, okay? I'm a brute force technologist. I'm a United States Marine, and I pretty much guarantee you that every single Marine in the White House right now, including the Commandant of the Marine Corps, would gladly stand down if I came to that front fence based on what we know. The Secret Service, if they say, oh my God, we need to go investigate Pete Santilli because he wants to go over the fence. Well, first of all, I don't think they're organized enough, obviously, because they let that other guy that may have wanted to harm the president go. So we need to set them aside. They need to recuse themselves. Let's get the Marine Corps. Let's get law enforcement. Let's get Chris Ann Hall there. I'd like her to be my attorney if they decide that they want to arrest me for wanting to go over the fence because it's illegal. But they want to jump over and ignore all the evidence that exists that the guy that I'm wanting to go arrest has committed crimes. I want her to be my constitutional attorney. Okay, so I'll get John Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute, Chris Ann Hall, okay, constitutional attorney, Sheriff Mack, Sheriff Arpaio, if he has the balls to meet me there. If he's a principled man and a true grit guy with a badge, he'll meet me there. Tell Mike Zullo if he has enough evidence with what he has right now, meet me out in front of the White House fence. That's what I'm wanting to do constitutionally and lawfully. Is that clear?
Oh, yes. And, make no mistake. I mean, we have another announcement coming up. Your guess as good as mine said after the election. Let's wait for that, Pete.
You know what? If hold on a second, let me stop you there. You tell Mike Zullo as well that if he has evidence and he's withholding it and he's obstructing justice until after an election, we'll arrest his ass too.
I don't know if I would go that far. I'd rather.
I will. I will say that to him personally. If he has evidence that crimes have been committed and he's withholding that evidence, that's called obstruction of justice, and he'll be held to account to the law. He will. And you know what? Let's set up a kangaroo court. We'll set up a card table out in front of the White House, and we'll bring him forward and say, did you withhold this evidence and not bring it forward and prosecute because you wanted to wait for an election? Tell him he's either wearing a badge, okay, and he's acting in the law enforcement capacity, and he says this all the time. He's saying, I'm doing a law enforcement investigation. What is he, a politician or a law enforcement official? I don't want to speak to Mike Zullo unless I'm right out in front of the White House. I don't even need to talk to him. Or Sheriff Joe Arpaio. You know what? Enough is enough, Mike Volan, and I appreciate your work and your diplomacy and your patience in allowing me to get through this. I'm fed up, dude. This country is destroyed, and you know it. And we need people with some freaking balls to get to the White House and take care of business. If we take care of the White House, then we go down the street and we tell everybody in Congress, pick up your paper clips and get the frig out of here. You're done. We're going to start replacing you with plumbers, carpenters, laid off auto workers, honest people that are going to go in there and turn our country around. Guess what else? One last note before I let you go, Mike Volan. We have ranchers on horseback that started in California September 26th, and they're getting ready to show up there. And I suggested to have one of her horses go over the front fence, and we joked about it. I'll bet you she would be willing to do that to help save her country. That's the kind of American spirit that we need. Patriots that are wanting to take our country back. We need the White House back. We need Congress back. And law enforcement and the military needs to help us, sir. We need to do this constitutionally, lawfully.
Pete, can I have a minute here, please?
Absolutely. And go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I agree with you 100%. I wanted to let you know that the Commandant of the Marine Corps has a sheriff kit. That's how far we went. I got the return receipt. Pete, there's no doubt in my mind that Sheriff Joe, 57 and a half years in law enforcement, I've spoken to him, has a plan, has the information. Are they holding it back on purpose? No, I'll tell you why. They're everyday average people like me and you. They joke around, punch around. I've had coffee, sat down, all that type. I bought vegetables from my garden, fresh vegetables from my garden, just like an average person. Pete, it's not going on forever. We have to wait a little bit longer. If it doesn't come out, then I'll have everybody in front of the White House. How will we know? We'll know, Pete. We will know. I will incorporate you, your audience. I'll get everybody from my site together. I'll get everybody in front of that White House to do whatever it has to do.
Mike,
don't jump the gun.
No, I'm not going to jump the gun. No. Listen to me. I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm saying if he has enough evidence, okay. I mean, I want Sheriff Mack there. Sheriff Mack I know Sheriff Mack will join me there. Okay, and he'll probably advise me and say, "Oh my goodness, you're going to get arrested by the Secret Service." I'd say, "Wow, that'd be neat for a change to have somebody arrested for going over the fence, without making it through the front door. That'd be a great day for America to protect the presidency. I want that." But you know what? I'm talking about with the assistance of the patriots like Chris Ann Hall, John Whitehead, Sheriff Mack. If Sheriff Joe Arpaio wants to do it after the election, I will go. I will volunteer myself. I will literally, even if I risk being arrested, okay, I want evidence brought in court, including your sheriff's kit. All right, I want that presented in court to show why I'm trying to save my country and protect the presidency, not harm it, okay? They won't let us through the side door, okay? Let's go over the front fence, and there's nothing that's going to stop me from making that offer, and I mean it lawfully and constitutionally, and I will stand by that.
Certainly not the Secret Service. They can't even keep a mouse from coming on the White House lawn. They'll just let you walk in the door. Pete, I'm on the same side as you. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'll be there with you, Pete, no doubt. And maybe
you know what? We're not jumping to conclusions. You know what? We're not jumping to conclusions. As a matter of fact, we're jumping backwards to the original evidence that was presented a long time ago that hasn't been. The law is not being enforced. Okay? And I'm calling upon Mike Zullo and Sheriff Joe Arpaio. If you have enough evidence, let's say you want to wait till after. I don't care. Whatever day that is. You let me know. You don't even need to speak to me personally. Meet me out in front of the White House. I will go over the fence. And I'm going to beg for the Secret Service and the United States Marine Corps to stand down and enforce the law, the supreme law of the land, the U.S. Constitution, sir.
I agree with Pete. I'm the kind of guy, I'll call you. I have your cell phone number. I'll call you up, Pete. Let's move.
That's my offer. And I thank you very much for joining me, Mike Volan. I appreciate it, man.
A little bit more patience, Pete. I'll keep in touch with you. As soon as I find something out, everybody in the world will. Let's get behind Mike right now. They're the ones that are going to take Obama out of office.
Okay, it's and then if he wants to meet me, with some compelling evidence after the election, I'm gonna say, hey, Stunad, why did you wait? I would have come over the fence, before the election. But if that's part of his strategy, just as long as it gets done. But you know what? I'm not going to be that patient because as each day passes, our country is further and further advancing towards tyranny, towards war, towards economic destruction. It's we the people that are going to have to rise up and take back control of our system, Mike. And I appreciate your service to our country, sir. Thank you.
It bothers me every day, Pete, but it motivates me to get more and more sheriff kids out there and get more and more people involved.
Yes.
But that's the power that I have right now, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and you're not... Listen, this is downloadable. I'm going to end on this final note before I let you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this right now. Where's Obama's birthcertificate.com is evidence. It's forensic evidence right now that exists. You need to educate yourself. If you're a non-birther, you need to go there. You need to analyze that forensic evidence, and then you decide whether or not you're a birther. You decide on your own. Don't believe anybody. Don't believe me. Don't believe anyone. You go there. You download it. You take a look at it. You have an obligation as a United States citizen to make a determination on your own that what we're saying is that a law has been broken, the U.S. Constitution's been decimated, and the guy that's in office needs to be put in jail. Okay? And whoever forged those documents, that's for all the attorneys and the other law enforcement people to go arrest. Bottom line is Barack Obama needs to be removed from office. Everyone in Congress needs to be taken out on their arses and thrown out on the front porch and replaced with American citizens, honest ones. Sir, thank you very much. Mike Volan.
Pete, one more quick thing, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
There's one more site that's truly patriotic, that's been there side by side, birththereport.com.
Oh, yeah.
100% honest.
Yeah, they are.
Current information.
Yeah, Carl Gallups has been doing the best job, in his capacity as a journalist.
That's not Carl Gallup's site. It's a separate site. birththereport.com.
Oh, that's not Carl. Okay, I guess Carl Gallup's reports get published on Birther Report. That's where I catch that.
Yes, they do.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Thanks a lot, Mike Volan. I appreciate it. And if the Secret Services call you, plead the fifth, refer them to John Whitehead at the Rutherford Institute, and have them contact me. I'll deal with them directly. Okay?
My cell phone number's right on the site, Pete. They can't. I don't hide.
Fantastic.
My cell
Secret
phone number's
Service.
right on the site.
Yeah, Secret Service. Give us a call. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to show up here. Just say, hey, can you come meet us out at the front fence? I'll meet you there. I'll come. If I have to turn myself in or whatever it is that you guys need to do in order to lock that place down for once, just contact me. I'll meet you out in front of the White House. Shoot. All right. Take care. All right, Mike Volan.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.